What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2001 Saab 9.3. Up front is a 2.0 liter turbocharged inline-4, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Saab 9.3 for two reasons. First of all, I don't drive many Saabs here on the channel, and I'm trying to fix that. So if you have a Saab product, I would love to drive yours. But the other reason is the fact that this is a very interesting era for Saab. This is when they started transitioning over to GM's ruling. And although Saab at this point was actually turning a profit for the first time in a long time, it starts to lose some of that Saabiness. And so we're gonna talk a lot about that in today's video. But if you would like to share your vehicle with me, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 2.0 liter turbocharged inline-4 under the hood. Well, it makes about 205 horsepower, which is pretty good numbers for a vehicle in this category and of this vintage. Now, this is a Saab 2-liter turbo. This was a Saab derived and developed engine, so that isn't GM, which is nice to see. The SE is a mid-trim level Saab 9.3. So there was the base model that came with a naturally aspirated 2-liter, then there was this 2-liter turbo, and then the top trim had a 2.3-liter turbo. That was known as the Vigan. Like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic, and unfortunately with the turbo engine of this era, you could only find them in automatic. They did not offer a manual with the turbo. However, you could get a manual 9.3 if you opted for the base model naturally aspirated engine. The transmission's shifting fine, it's doing the job, and that's all I can ask it to do. Last but not least, the 9.3 SE is front wheel drive. So how does it feel to actually drive the Saab 9.3? Well, the turbo is fun. Is it gonna blow you away? No, but it's a decently quick little car, and that's all I can really ask for. What it is incredibly smooth, and that is something I wasn't expecting, especially from the smaller Saab, the 9.3. Maybe the 9.5 or the 9.7 I expect to have a little bit cushier of a ride, but the 9.3, they really truly nailed it, which is definitely very nice to see out of this vehicle. So with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 3 gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer, in the center is my speedometer, and off to the right, I get my coolant temperature, turbo, and my fuel. It's fun that they threw a little turbo gauge in there. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my skip track buttons and volume off to the right. And the overall steering wheel looks and feels nice. It's very 2000s, where it has that big pillowy airbag in the center, but almost no vehicle from the era was able to escape that. Off to the left, I do have my headlight switches, fog light switches, and my dimmer switches, as well as 2 adjustable climate control vents. And then on the door, we do have our power mirrors up top, our latch to get in and out, and our trunk release way down by my left hip, but that's it. Moving into the center, first of all, we have our fasten seatbelt sign. Looks like it's out of a 747 or something like that. Pretty cool to see. And then we have a little information panel. We can change a couple options here, which is really nice and really cool. I like that they had this back in 2001. And then off to the right, we have our night panel. So this will dim and shut off all of the gauges except for your speed up to 90 miles an hour. So if you're cruising at night, you're gonna have no distractions. This is one of the cornerstones of Saabs of this era, and I love it. I think it's so cool, so unique, and I'm surprised that most other cars don't do this. Modern Fords have the calm screen, but it just doesn't have the same effect as the Saab night panel. Then I do have a pop-out cup holder, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Saab 9.3 SE from 2001. And of course it fails. Almost no pop-out cup holders have ever passed, so unfortunately, par for the course. Then we have our radio button. I do get a CD player. I have balance and fade and CD-ROM and weather band and all that stuff, which is cool to see. And I do get more climate control vents off to the right and our hazard switch. The climate control vents are very strange. They really remind me of that Interstellar scene. And this was actually mimicked or used in the later Cadillac CTS-V from 2005. Kind of interesting to see where things pop up. Then we have our climate controls. Then we do get our traction control button, our heated seat buttons, and our OnStar button. So this vehicle was outfitted with OnStar from GM. Again, we'll talk about that towards the end, but this is a GM product technically, and so you see that down here below. Then we do have a little cubby and 12-volt outlet, and then we come to the shifter. Up on top of the shifter, we have our sport button. Off to the right of the shifter, we have our weather button, and then it works pretty normally after that. It is kind of plasticky, what I would expect from GM of this era, but not the end of the world. Then we have our ignition switch. So for some reason, I don't really have a distinctive reason why they did this, but Saab put their ignition switches in the center. Is this to save money on left-hand and right-hand drive markets? Maybe. You can be the judge, or if you know, you can tell me down below. Then I do have my lock and unlock, my power sunroof open and close, my windows open and close, and of course my rear windows as well. Then the owner, Kian, did actually leave a large bottle adapter for the cup holder, so this will pass the big freaking bottle test, but it is not standard nor factory, so unfortunately it doesn't count. But a nice little gesture nevertheless. Then we gotta talk about the seats. The seats are comfortable. They're finished in this tan cloth, which I really, really like. I've enjoyed my time in them, and that's all I can really note, besides the fact that they are heated. Again, a very nice option for 2001. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2001 Saab 9.3 SE. And a couple of things to note. First of all, knee room is pretty decent. This is my driving position. My knees are coming very close to hitting the seat in front of me, but they're not, so that's fine. I do have lights up here that are now dimming. Okay, goodbye. I also have a center console, just a big foam brick right there. Other than that, nothing really crazy to write home about. I think it's funny that the locks kind of look like popsicle sticks, but nice, comfy, soft fabric found in the front carries on back here, which is really nice to see. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the Saab 9.3. I do have a button here. That was weird. I don't know why it beeped so many times. There we go. There's a little latch down here that you have to pull. Once we are back here, oh my God, this is bigger than some apartments. I mean, this is crazy amounts of space, and the back seats do fold down. This is so big. I mean, it is huge. Wow, look at that. You can pull this up. We do get a spare tire and some tools, little light over here. Very nice. Other than that, nothing too crazy, but I mean, just the size of this, incredibly impressive, especially in a car not only of this size and segment, but just in cars in general. I mean, this is borderlining on a box truck. Really, really cool stuff here from Saab. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is finished in laser red, which I love the name of. I mean, how can you not? That's a pretty great name. And I just like the fact that it's not silver, blue, black, white, the typical Saab colors. This is actually a fun color for a fun car, and that's really nice to see. I also do get headlight wipers, which are pretty freaking cool. Useless, but cool. And overall, I just really enjoy the hatchback look of the Saab 9.3. But with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. This is the first generation of 9.3. The 9.3 was started in 1997 for the 1998 model year, and it was started on the 50th anniversary of the Saab brand. Now, GM had already taken hold pretty much at this point. They started investing in Saab in 1990 and amped up their funds until 2000, where they became the owners. Officially, well, let's be honest, they were running the show a little bit before that. And so this is a GM era Saab, and having now driven pre-GM Saabs, there is a noticeable difference. There's a lot more plastic in these. There's a lot more GM-ness, we'll say, for sure. But I think people are easy and quick to dog on GM's ownership without really looking at the numbers. From 1988 until 1995, Saab wasn't profitable. They weren't making any money. And when you're in any type of business, not making money is kind of a big deal. It's kind of a really big deal. And so when GM started stepping in, purchasing up shares and whatnot, they started helping them turn a profit. Now, this was making their vehicles cheaper to manufacture. This was also using similar platforms, the basic code that we know so well. Make a lot of cars off of the same platform to cut down on R&D costs, use as many of the same parts as you can get away with, call it a day. GM helped them do that, and they were successful in that effort. But along the way, Saab slowly started to lose a little bit of its soul. And this car has a lot of character. The weird turbocharged engine with the boost gauge, the weird vents, the ignition down in the center, headlight wipers on an American market car. That's strange. But you could tell that these are a little bit more tame than the Saab 900s that came before them. And so this car just is a good lesson. This is what happens when sometimes, in order to make your dream real, you might need to do things you don't really like. That's why every musician has a record deal. No one wants a big company owning their music or their creation. But if it's either sell the rights to your music or not make music at all, it becomes an easier decision to make. And that's what Saab had to do. Take the money from the big guys just to stay afloat. It's either that or go out of business completely. And they chose the former rather than the latter. Now, Saab today is actually no longer owned by GM. When everything happened in 2008, GM had to sell off assets, so Saab was put up on the chopping block. It's now actually owned by a company that keeps saying that they're going to make cars, and then they don't, and then they don't, and then they don't. So Saab is kind of in a limbo, but it's a dead brand, really. But for the time being, GM kept the lights on, although it cost a little bit of their personality. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Kian for reaching out to me and organizing this review. I was so excited to get back behind the wheel of another Saab product. Kian and his brother are absolutely awesome. I appreciate them coming out on this crisp Monday morning to let me review their Saab. They are awesome, and I look forward to working with them more in the future. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.